you or follow along, but I'm gonna do whatever I want. I make the rules, I don't play along. I do whatever I want, and I ain't asking you if I'm right or wrong. I do whatever I want, stuck in your head like a song. I'm both the king and the calm, so sticky 'cause I got the sauce. I'm everything on the menu, so dope that I'm breaking the news, and I ain't got nothing to prove. So you can do you or follow along, but I'm gonna do whatever I want. I make the rules, I don't play along. I do whatever I want, and I ain't asking you if I'm right or wrong. I do whatever I want. I do whatever I want. I do whatever I want. I ain't gonna listen to you. I'm too busy making a move for number one, not number two. Baby, you know I'm the boss. If I want it, I want it all. I win it, whatever the cost. So you can do you or follow along, but I'm gonna do whatever I want. I make the rules, I don't play along. I do whatever I want, and I ain't asking you if I'm right or wrong. I do whatever I want, stuck in your head like a song. I'm both the king and the calm, so sticky 'cause I got the sauce. I'm everything on the menu, so dope that I'm breaking the news, and I ain't got nothing to prove. So you can do you or follow along, but I'm gonna do whatever I want. I make the rules, I don't play along. I do whatever I want, and I ain't asking you if I'm right or wrong. I do whatever I want. I do whatever I want. I do whatever I want. I ain't gonna listen to you. I'm too busy making a move for number one, not number two. Baby, you know I'm the boss. If I want it, I want it all. I win it, whatever the cost. So you can do you or follow along, but I'm gonna do whatever I want. I make the rules, I don't play along. I do whatever I want, and I ain't asking you if I'm right or wrong. I do whatever I want, so sticky 'cause I got the sauce. I'm everything on the menu, so dope that I'm breaking the news, and I ain't got nothing to prove. ain't gonna listen to you. I'm too busy making a move for number one, not number two.
All right, hello everybody. I think I'm like a minute ahead of time, so I'm just gonna hang out here and make sure that my audio and everything's working for a second. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right. This week I am in version 9, which is still in beta. I've been using it for the past couple of weeks to build, and what I'm going to show with you in this one is we're making a VFX level vine. And we're going to take you through some of the new ways to climb and crawl over things. And one of the really cool things here is that I had this plant in my backyard, and so I brought one in so I can show you guys and get started with that. I'm just going to make sure that we are there. Got a lot of people on the stream today. It's really great. So if you guys just want to ask questions as we go and keep going with that, and make sure that we are still connected. There we go. All right. So this is my finished model, and this wall is user. And one, I just love the wall because it looks all country and English and fun stuff like that. And so what I've done in this other file is I've gone ahead and brought in all of our materials to save us some time, we kind of did that the last couple of weeks, since I've got all my seasons materials in here, and I've also brought in my wall. If I was using the same model, I might go with one of the lower probably counts if this was going in a game. Thing that I want to do for these guys, I'm going to go ahead and bring the wall into the scenes just like that you guys are used to using in SpeedTree 8 and SpeedTree 7. I'm going to do this sort of a different way because we now have a new generator. So I'm going to photogrammetry mesh, and I'm going to assign this guy with a material that I've already brought in. And remember, our material is linked to the wall. And so I'm going to go ahead and grab that and put him in there. And for some reason, make sure we're all linked up on the material. It's connected to the right thing there. And make sure our meshes are on. My file has locked, so let's go ahead and start a new file. I'm going to do save as, and we're just gonna do a new file and keep all this in here, and that way I don't have to set everything back up. Alright, that would have been the same thing there. We're just gonna file and add a mesh. I don't know what was going on there. This is the beta build, so we do have some bugs going on there. And I'm gonna turn on the background just for a second. You're looking at some of our new lighting settings that we have for you. Right now I have a panorama in the background, and this is in window properties. You can change the background to whatever you'd like for it to be. I'm gonna put it back in ambient light for right now. And I have the lighting set to our HDR, which is brand new. HDR, I left off a letter. I've got SpeedTree 9. I got a question coming in about when it's going to be out. We are aiming for this quarter, but I don't have a definite date for you just yet. COVID has definitely put us back a little bit, but we're getting there. All right. So that new lighting setting is going to be found in your light. You can click it here, or you can find it from the main properties and hit the lighting. And I have loaded in a HDRI file. It's just a free to remember at this point. And so this is going to let you adjust your lighting to match your scene if you are matching a particular environment. And so I've kind of got that all set up in there. All right, we're going to go file add, and anything fancy with zones or anything, I'm going to go ahead and put this on interval. And we are going to hide that for a second. Increase the frequency and put this on 1. And my geometry is just not creating itself. That's fun. I'm asking real fast. Oh, it's because I had first and last on. Put on 0, 0, and this needs to be able to spread out, and my radius was so big that it couldn't fit in the space that allotted for it. All right, back on track. I'm not going crazy. There are branches in the scene. I might be going crazy, but all right. So we've got these chunky guys in here, and I like to do interval for a wall because they're going to be easy to spread out along in a row. Obviously, depending on what you're building, you would spread those out in the circle a little better. I'm just going to do, maybe 5. If I do 2, I can get some on the other side because they are in the circle there. And we're going to make these vine structures. And so a vine doesn't really taper off a whole lot until it gets to the very end. So we're going to go ahead and make these smaller. I do kind of want to squish them in, so I'm going to change the first and last. I'm going to squish it in a little bit just because. And I kind of want to switch up the location. They're a little too mathematical right now. So we're going to go to rotation and add just a little bit of variance in there. And we're going to add to position. And do is I want to mix up the start angle. And so I have variance in there, and these guys are going to lean that way. Now, I am going to make my vine first before I do any interaction with the wall, because I want to make sure that I have my actual species kind of set up the way that I want it to. And there we go. They're still a little fat, and I'm going to mix up the radius a little bit just to get some interest in there. Or made it a little too much. I really want to make these teeny tiny, and sometimes instead of scrubbing where you have the little tiny numbers in here, I'll just grab the radius curve and bring them down like this for vines, just because it's a little easier to work with. And these are pretty long. I don't think I need all that length in there. I'm going to use an absolute number for these because they are kind of my base. Even smaller, there we go. And I'm going to see if we can get these to roll over the side of the wall a little bit. Excuse me. All right, the first thing we want to do is we're going to add some features coming off, and we do kind of want to shape the vine and give them some detail. And so I'm going to put my material on here. I'm going to go to this material and then go ahead and pick our stem color. I have added a green and a red stem on here, and in the material bar, I have these set up so that the green one is going to come in during the springtime, and the red one is going to be on. And I kind of wanted more red in here because the actual plant has a lot of red in the stems. So this is kind of fun. I want to go ahead and show you our what species we're making here. Just a couple pictures. This plant gets really, really red in the fall, and it's the number one thing that people think is poison ivy, and it's not actually. And sometimes people are allergic to it, which is kind of fun, but I'm not, and I picked some after the vacuum, and it has wilted because I picked it like 10 minutes ago. I was very unhappy about that, but I just wanted you to see the leaf structure. And then I'm gonna throw my dead plant over here. Not very often you get to use a live plant, but it's very handy when you have it. And then this leaf structure, the 5 leaves, is what we're going for. One of the things that will be very hard to see in that little tiny leaf is that there's sort of a zigzag pattern going on with the actual twig itself. And so we're going to kind of add a little bit of that to our our stem. So we're going to grab the spine properties, and we're going to add some noise. Because we are interacting with the wall, we're not going to use late noise. We're going to use a little bit of early noise. And I'm going to use the path, and I'm going to draw a little bit of a wiggle and see if we can get some interesting movement there. And then because we're going to have us interacting with the wall, we are going to need a couple of segments in here. Make sure we're still good. All right, we got I think we've got some ArcViz people in here, and that's this is perfect for that kind of high detail building. And we're gonna try the one that I made already. I think it had about 500,000 on high, so it's really not that bad. All right, so one of the important things with crawling is that you need enough segments to not look jagged, and you also need accurate spines. And you want your accurate spines you need enough of them to look up information from the mesh. That'll make more sense when we start interacting with the wall. So right off the bat, I'm gonna add a few more in here, which I'm gonna go to segments, and we're gonna turn on the accuracy. I'm gonna put this on like 120 just to start off. We might end up adjusting this a little bit, but this is very important for interacting objects. And I'm gonna go ahead and put more relative link segments in there just so that we can smooth it out, and we might end up taking some more out at the end. And I'm going to back a spine, and I'm going to shape it just a little bit and see if we can't get some cool little notches in here. I'm using the zigzag, which makes it a little bit bumpy here. And then I'm going to do add, and we're going to do a branch. And these branches I'm going to set to generate on bifurcation. It's a real realistic vine-ish thing there. I'm going to go to skin tab and adjust the weld really fast so that we're getting all up in the detail now. And right off the bat, I have 3 segments in the roundness, and so I need to go ahead and add some radial segments in here to help out those welds. So we just want to make that a little prettier. I am going to adjust the weld a little bit. I'm going to just kind of offset it, and I'm going to drag the lower part down a little bit. I can add some variance in there just because that's always good to have in these guys. And right, since I'm zoomed in, my material doesn't look quite right, and so we're gonna go to the UV real fast. Gonna zoom out, over zoomed in. I've got some more of a stripe thing, so it's not that bad up here, but way back here, you're just gonna lose all the detail. And so we're going to adjust the UV. I really want it to tile just one way around, so I'm just going to leave it on absolute 1. It doesn't really matter. They're upset. This is such a plain material in general. They're upset. This is such a plain material in general that you're not going to be able to see too much or whatever. I'm going to see if scaling it a little differently will help the stripes by making the scale a little smaller. I never really... doesn't help that much. Didn't mean to type 11 there. Just messed up there. I gotta make sure. I think that my chat is lagging, so I don't know if you guys are typing or not, but gonna see if helping that out. I don't think so. We're gonna leave it on 1. Alright, I do have the normal kind of bumped up on this just to get some definition out of there. Alright, zoomed all the way out again. Alright, and this is kind of what our vine's shaping up. And this vine has alternating branches that come off of it, and you could do this on phyllotaxy alternating, but I chose to use bifurcation just because I can do that very naturally with the zigzag thing that we've got, and that's brand new in 9. Also, you don't have that in 8. All right, so I've got enough going on here, which I think is going to be kind of interesting, and I want to go ahead and add the holders for our vine leaves. And we are going to do add branch, and I want these guys to just be on interval. And I'm gonna say just that I want 1, and then that way I can really control. They're really hard to see. I'm gonna increase the frequency, and there they are. And so I just want to make sure that I have enough here. And so each of these is going to be holding a set of leaves for our little cluster there. And we can just start with a few to start off with. We don't need to go crazy or anything. I'm going to do another thing right now and go ahead and add a force to the scene. I'm going to add a direction. And I'm going to move this, and this is going to pull all of our leaves out from the wall. And so basically I just want them to kind of point out that way on these branches. And I'm going to use an absolute in here. One of the reasons why I'm using the absolute length versus these percent of the parent is that I might go crazier and make these longer or shorter, and it's going to be a little bit more easier for me to control because these are going to be holding the long awkward lengths, and I'll probably add lots of variation. I'm just going to make these guys all a certain length to start. I do want them to be a little longer at the bottom of the branch, and so I'm going to just lift up to make them longer there. This is going to hold the leaf out. And we are going to click those little branches, and we're going to click the Forces tab, which is brand new. You now have the ability to control what the force is doing on each generator. It used to be that you add the forced object to the scene and it controls what the force is doing, but this just is adding a whole layer of building that you can do with the actual thing there. I had these in from that other file, but direction 2 is this guy right here. So now we have a bunch of snakes evading our wall, and that should be enough to hold our leaf set. And making sure I'm still with you guys. And then I got nobody talking really, but that's okay. All right. We are going to add batch leaves for this. I'm gonna do batch leaf. I'm in the cinema modeler today. I should have clarified that before we went out. I'm gonna go ahead and add a leaf on so we can tell what we're doing. So I'm gonna go to material and then select my material. Go ahead and add all of these guys on here, and I've already set the meshes for these guys ahead of time. We did a lot of that the past few weeks. So I didn't want to waste your time. I just wanted to get to dealing with the wall. And so we've got fall. And we want leaf 2. I didn't put sets on here. I just added these individually. You could save yourself some time here by putting these in a material set. There we go. I think we have all our leaves on here, and they are all kind of wonky. I'm gonna get the size right. So I'm gonna go to skin tab and then bring these down just a little bit. And it's a good average size. So what we're gonna do with this is we are gonna push all of these leaves out to the end of our little holder. And I'm gonna put these on absolute, and I'm putting 5 leaves on each one. And I typed 4 because I missed the number. There we go. All right. So jumbled is that we have them coming off. When you have an absolute number, they can appear anywhere on that twig right there. And so we want to push these all out to the end. So I'm going to use first and last and push first out all the way to 0.98 or so. And now I've got these little star pinwheels. And so we are going to then go to orientation and go ahead and get these to face outward. And so we're going to go ahead and do face. And we're going to do some shaping in here. One of the things that these are going to be climbing on the wall, so they will get a little bit better there. Okay, I think we had this question before. I guess when we get a lot. When you are, you're asking about linking textures within your file folder. And I like to keep my folder super clean. So I always work in the same folder structure. Let me just bring up my folder for a second here. Sorry, I just wanted to answer this question before we probes. There it is. Okay. So I'm just going to show you my browser folder for a second here. I've got a file for my bark and a file for my leaves. And if you change a name or if you move anything within these folders, your location is going to change. It's not going to be able to find that file. So when you're working in a file, it's kind of important to stay organized. And if you're going to save a file out, like say you need to start a new file, I like to keep those all outside of my assets so they can look up in here and I can just keep adding to this folder. We don't have anything automatic that will go find your files if you disconnect, but that has been requested before, so that might be in the future. But all right, that aside, just hope that clears up a little bit and make sure I am still connected. Yes, hopefully that answered your question. And check the other stream and see if we've got anything there. I think we're good. I'm just gonna keep going. All right, so we got these all. I just spaced them outward. They're all doing the same thing right now, so they look like little weird Christmas pinwheels. And the first thing I want to do is make them a little smaller as they go out these branches. That'll kind of help me size these guys up. And so I'm going to do a parent curve, and I'm going to go according to the second branch here. I'm going to make them smaller towards the top. I'm in the skin tab. I know it's kind of hard to read the text, and I'm on the wrong thing there. We're on the batch leaf, and we're taking the size, and we're going to go to branch 2. I just want them to get smaller as they go towards the top, and little teeny tiny ones at the top of the branch. And we are also going to do bigger leaves down here, and then smaller at the top. If this was growing up and over the wall, I think that it would be backwards. I think it would be bigger going down to fader, but the other file I made, we went that direction. So we're gonna keep with that. All right, so we're gonna do another parent curve, but we're gonna say according to the long vine here that I want the ones at the bottom to be a little bigger. I think I'm gonna just kind of level them out and see what we get there. These things vary in size a good bit, and I get some little teeny tiny ones all random up here. Now the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some variants, and instead of having a random assortment of variants in here, I'm going to make it cohesive, and that means that the sections of leaves will be closer in size. It won't just be random angles, because we still want to keep the structure of the 5 leaves. So I'm going to add some in there, and you'll see what I mean. We don't really want that. We want something that's more like that. And I'm going to put it on the Gaussian, which is the bell curve. Gaussian. I don't think I said that word right, but we'll go with it. And I don't need it to be like completely cohesive, so I'm going to put it down there a little bit. And then we are going to make the scale really tiny just because they're only along that short space there. And I think that'll give us more of the look that we want. Just a little bit. I have all of these guys on there. They look like little tortilla chips right now because we haven't given them any shape. And so let's go ahead and fix that problem. I got them on tortilla chips now. We're going to go to the leaf properties and hit down here. It's also in skin for some reason, like way down at the bottom, but I always go to orientation. All right, and we want to give these guys a little bit of a curve thing. I just wanted to see what they were doing on the wall. There we go. They are kind of flat, but they're tilting up towards the light a little bit, and we'll get to that probably after we put it on the wall. But because these are on their meshes, and also I just want to show you the mesh really fast. I didn't give the lower ones very many polygons because I didn't really feel like they needed them. But I do have enough to do just a little bit of a fold and a curl on there. So these guys are going to do like that, and then just kind of curl them back a little bit. And I think that once we get them out, they'll be in a better shape. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of variation in there, especially to fold, and twist is really going to help as well to make these guys not as stagnant. And we're going to put some sky influence on these just a little bit to get them to go kind of up together. It's really not working where we want there. We kind of just want them out. And you know what we might do is get the, so they're leaning out, but the very end of that, if I did a little bit of spine gravity and so a negative amount there, and then just sort of put it only on the tip, then I think they're going to go up towards the sky a little bit better and look a little bit more realistic. All right, it's good enough for right now. On those, I'm going to go ahead and hit this yellow leaf. I'm getting too many of it. This is my accent leaf, and so I don't have a season on it. It's just there all season round, and that's just because the yellow leaf every now and again will help it make it look more real. I'm going to go to the material tab real fast and then just take that yellow leaf and put it down to a point. That should help me out there. I think that one of our streams might be stuck. I don't know if I can fix that real fast. It looks like it's back, so we're good. I'm going to keep going, pressing forward. All right. I think that our material, I'm not 100% sure if I added the other leaf mesh, and I'm going to hit save real fast because that is good to do too. And so we don't lose our work. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and start the wall stuff. And this is going to be brand new, but it's very, very similar. It's almost exactly like force mesh. The only thing we're doing different here is that I've added a mesh to the scene. And I'm going to right click this guy and I'm going to say make geometry. I don't know if you remember collections, but you can make anything in SpeedTree crawl over itself. And so we're doing that. We're just putting it on the mesh instead of using it as a force mesh. Force meshes are still in there. You can still use them the exact same way. I'm going to go ahead and add that. And this is going to be the wall. I like to name these guys just to make sure we don't mess that up. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to adjust what you just made. So that guy there. We're going to go ahead and say that the main vine needs to be attracted to the wall. So we're going to go to the force tab and we're going to turn it on. And right off the bat, I've got a error. Geometry force is not ready. And so one of the things that we've added is this little messaging system here, and it's going to tell you exactly what to do to fix the problem. And this is saying that I created and let it compute the mesh first and then compute the trunk. I'm going to go to the trunk. I'm going to go to gen, and we're going to change, change the pass to a 2, and they'll come back. And now they're attracted to the wall. And that means that this guy is computing after this guy, essentially. Got lots of blinking and things there. And some feature requests coming in. I think we'll jot those down and definitely get to those. We're getting lots of feature requests as of late. It's really great. The live streams kind of open that up. So now we've got our, I'm going to turn off everything just so you can see this one guy here. We've got some interaction with the wall, and we have some new properties for how they can interact with the wall. All right, so instead of doing the mesh properties, which is what we do for force mesh in the old way, I'm going to each individual generator, and I have a lot of new properties for how this thing can interact with the wall. Just like the old one, you have the max amount of number it can try. Basically, these accurate spines are looking for the mesh, and they might fail or they might make it if they don't find it. And so you can have it try a lot, which is going to be a lot of computation for your computer, or you can have it do an average time. I really don't ever change this number over than 30 unless I really, really can't get it. The max bend angle is going to stop it. So if you don't want it to have anything wild leaking out there, you can cut it off basically. It's saying how soon to start. Now I got this like from here and they're bouncing up here. I kind of want to put the look ahead a little higher for these guys. And I want to make sure that the wall is turned on with the profile curve a little sooner for these guys. And this follow is pretty important as well. It's how detailed it follows along a surface. So instead of just hitting it loosely, you can have it super look up. I guess I don't know if I'm using the technical term that's good for that. And turn that on just a little bit. And I lost one here, but we'll fix that in a second. I wanted to add that to, if you go to your force mesh and go to the wall, it's the second one in there. I've set that to attract, and I want to obstruct, that means to go around the wall. And I got, we don't have attenuation on because we don't need that. I was going to go over that in just a second. I'm going to go back to my force properties. And we are going to change up the angle. So these guys are growing out of the wall this way, but you can change the angle of how they're wrapping around something. This is pretty important for like vines if you want them to loop around. I think next week we are going to grow the same vine, but put it on a tree and do geometry forces that way. And so I'm just going to add some variation in the angle that these guys are growing on the wall and see if we get anything interesting. All right, I don't know how we did, but we'll go ahead and go back to our plan and see. I'm gonna say that I want these guys to pay attention to the wall as well. One of the things that did was it kind of a little bit. One of the things I like to do here is add the gnarl or a curl. Just very vine-like behavior. And on these guys, I don't really care if they hit the wall right away. I might not change my profile curve as much as the other one, but I might go ahead and see what I can get, kind of wiggling. One of the things about editing this way is that you don't want to get too attached or get too art guidey with these things. You're going to interact with the wall, but you don't want to get attached to where a single branch is. Because anytime you mess with a property, it's going to have to recompute itself with the wall. I'm going to hide these weird things going on here and make sure that we're doing okay on chat. It's pretty quiet. I thought I'd have more questions. But, all right. And let's see what we look like with our leaves. I want to get rid of the straightness. And there's two things that could be straightening them out. One is that they are sticking to the wall too hard and just kind of going. And so you want to go to your force settings and you actually want to kind of wiggle these around a little bit. Follow and then just see. And one of the new things they added is a bounce feature. I kind of want to show you that on a plain box for a second just so you can kind of explore the settings here, and I also want to show you the attenuation that they have here just as an example. Kind of start with the simpler one. All right, this is a force mesh that's been adding an geometry mesh. You can use these the same way, and I have attenuation on, and that is, I just put it to linear. And you can control the influence that this guy has, and that's what these little white lines are representing. So if I had multiple meshes in the scene, different that. I've got blinking. There we go. Okay, so you can make this, if I make these lines bigger, it's reaching out farther, and I can get more of the tree to grab it, I guess. I have these on attract as well. And then if I make that small, those settings as well. Now let's look at the balance. So these little branches here that are attracted to here, and a lot of times what you get is it hits and it's just straight, super attracted there. And instead of having to do a very, very complicated curve where it's saying hit the wall, don't hit the wall, hit the wall, what they've done is they've added, the devs have added, the ambiguous they, this property for the force where you can bounce it back off the wall. You can give it a couple of chances in there. And see, I've got the wall on pretty strong. And so on the wrong generator there, because these are extensions off of that one. I'm gonna go ahead and try that one. There we go. I'm gonna say that I can have some chance to bounce in there, and I'm gonna probably turn the strength of the box down a little bit. And I think we've got a bug in there, so we go back there, but it will allow for a bounce on the edge of the wall. These are all settings so that you can, if it bounces and it flies off way too much, you can bring it back and add some variation in that way. There we go. All right, we're gonna go back to our wall. And we're going to turn on the rest of our flowers and just kind of see where we're at with how these guys are situated. And it's pretty pleasant. It's got a nice little fluffy look there. Because I added some length, pumping these guys out. If you zoom in on them, they're not super accurate, but they're just kind of holding the place there. I kind of want to droop these out a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of gravity to these guys. I just feel like they need to be a little more relaxed than they are. And I don't have these little twigs paying attention to the wall at all. I'm just going to do more of a little droop there. And see where we're getting. And I really feel like I need something down here. I'm going to go ahead and go to my branches down here. And I had it on bifurcation, so it is not grabbing any of the noise down pattern like elbow of the tree. What I might actually do in here to help fill out the pattern that we've got going is gonna just copy these guys and paste them back in on the bottom of the trunk. Except I'm gonna put these bottom layers and I'm just gonna start them towards the bottom to fill in a little bit. And I'm going to put it not on bifurcation but interval and just have less of these guys. I might even change the spread a little bit just to kind of push them out there. And you see like that one little one went through the wall there because it's so close to the edge, and so that'll happen. And I have the wall set to take them out if they fail, and so that's why you're seeing things appear and disappear. And that one that I just added in there, I'm gonna go back to the interval and just kind of put the frequency down at the bottom and see if we can get some more in there. Oh, you know, I've got 4. I really want to increase the frequency just a little bit and see if I can get some fill in there. And then I kind of want these guys just spread out a little bit. I'm gonna go back to the start angle and push them that way. You notice these guys are kind of fighting the direction that I want to put them in. So what I'm gonna do for these guys is I'm gonna use a direction. We already had wanted the scene going out that way. I'm gonna commandeer this one, which was in there from before, and just kind of have that second set of branches kind of go a different direction. So I'm gonna give it like a left in here, and then I'm going to pull these guys out towards that direction. So I'm going to go to branch properties, left, I should have typed in the name, and then these guys are kind of swing out that way on the bottom. Fine. One of the things that needs to happen down here is maybe make these leaves just a little bigger. Wow, a little too big. And I really kind of added too many of these guys in there. So I'm going to go to generation and maybe decrease how many are on the branch down there. And how are we doing on the chat? All right, now it's time to go ahead and add our details on here. We've got a lot of things going on with the color, and right now I'm going to go ahead and show you the season slider on spring, and transition to red, and then a all the way red, and then everything goes away because my seasons has to be set. So I'm going to grab all of my branches, and I'm going to go to the material, and I make sure that the scale's on 1, and then I'm just going to take the variation out on that. On the leaves, I'm going to do the same thing, and I push it all the way to the edge of the season just because they are dying out a little early. No. You should be getting more thing there. All right, so we want all of the transitional colors to get pushed to the edge of the branch. So right now I have all of the seasons set to their allotted time. I've got spring, summer, and then I've got the yellow one that stays the entire time on a lower weight, and then I've got fall, and I did the same thing on the other leaves. We're going to use the offset just like we did last week, and we are going to grab I'm going to do both sets at the same time just because we can. We're going to go to the material, and we're going to use a descendant offset. I'm pushing these guys into the next season. That's what the offset is there. But I'm saying that according to the trunk, which is that guy there, which is the one when you have multiple selected, I want to offset the tips of the branches. That's what I want to be red at the top of the wall, and I don't want to offset the bottom. And I'm actually going to make this kind of an extreme offset because I want to keep a lot of the green towards the bottom. I'm going to do the same thing with these little branches here because I want them to transition down the branch, and so I'm going to say that I have it offset. I'm going to take the variation out and make them in the red zone there. These guys are still showing up, so I need to do the same thing for that. Because these are only on the low part of the branch, what I'm going to do is push them even lower. Just have too many going up there. And for this material, I want to keep them always green. So I'm going to go to the material, take out the variation, and I'm actually just going to do a regular curve for these guys because they're only on the bottom part of the trunk. And so I'm going to keep these guys in the green. And it looks like yeah, let's see how we did. Okay, we were getting disappearing branches because our branches are set, and so that's why those were disappearing. I'm going to add in the red, and hopefully that will fix that. There we go. And then we're back, and we got it turning to red. And that yellow leaf really looks kind of awkward towards the top of the tree. So what I'm going to do is take the weight of that guy, and I'm going to grab the yellow leaf, and I'm going to say that at the top of the wall, I really don't want any of these guys. I'm just going to kill the ones up there. I want all red and no yellow, and I really want yellow on this side of the wall. Let's see if grabbing according to the branch too. I really don't want them at the end of the branch. I'm just gonna make some adjustments there. So now I have a better scattering, I feel like. There we go. Alright. Not bad. Didn't fine tune it as much as that other one, but I'm happy with it. It works. Alright. Now, one of the things that we got about 10 more minutes, so I'm just going to show you a neat trick I like to do for stems to help them look a little bit more shapely and like the actual little folds of the branch there. And I don't see any new questions coming in from the stream. Oh wait, I got a whole nother list coming in from the multi-stream who like targets that we try to hit while optimizing or while you're building. Let's talk about that for a second. I didn't do a lot of optimization with this. I started with a VFX tree. I could easily turn this into a games tree if I'd like to. We're really not too bad on poly counts, but it's a bit high for how small this plant is. And I could definitely add a ton more leaves if I wanted to really fill this out and give it a super overgrown look. So one of the things we didn't do is take down the poly counts a whole lot. A tree like this, I really would want, with the wall and everything, I really want to keep it under 500K just because it's not a big broadleaf tree. I just feel like this is not, it shouldn't cost that much. So let's try to bring it down a little bit. You're going to go to the scribe mode and kind of zoom in here. When you're zoomed in about that and you see solid black, you probably have too many polygons. And we didn't take anything out. And so only thing I did was add some radial segments in here. And we can taper these a little bit. We've got good movement in here, and I added a lot of link segments because it's crawling on the wall. But this wall model is not even that heavy, so I think we can get rid of some of these guys. What I'm gonna do is for the big branches here, I'm going to taper off the segments, and first thing off the bat, almost always on every single branch, grab the radial curve and make them taper off towards the end because you just really don't need it. On a vine like this, you'll notice the round radial segments more towards the bottom, and you might end up having to look at it in the standard mode just to make sure you're not getting any weird plane or like a stripe from doing that. And I think we're in good shape. These guys seem to have enough. We're gonna kind of taper those guys off a little bit. I'm gonna say that optimization might not be too destructive on these guys. I definitely don't think I need as many as I thought I did. I'm just gonna let it decide if I can take some of those guys out. There we go. And I probably could clean that up a little bit more. We ended up using a good deal of accurate spines in there, but I think we're in good shape. One thing I wanted to show you before we wrapped up this session is that on these vine shapes, a lot of times the tree has these little knobs. I don't know if you can see that really tiny piece there. One of the things you can do to kind of mimic the knobs, I don't know what to call them. I think they probably have a plant name, but I don't know. I'm gonna add a decoration generator on this guy. I'm just gonna do some lumps, and I want to add them where I've added the bends, kind of where I have these branches, kind of where my welds are, honestly. And I had put the other ones on bifurcation, so let's just see what that looks like there. Yeah, we might. And so you could do this with displacement, but I find that on something little where you're looking at it from back here, The displacement tends to be a little all over unless you have a displacement map loaded in. For little twigs and stuff like that, these are really helpful for getting those notches or making a little shadow in the light. And I'm going to offset these guys a lot, and I'm going to change the shape of them a little bit by using the profile curve. I kind of want them to be maybe a little pointier. Kind of like a little elbow. And it's very, very the small detail, and it does, you know, if you look at these guys, I've got polygons that I'm adding in here, but I think that if you're really zoomed in, it really helps make a cute branch. Cute's probably not the right word, but we'll do whatever. I kind of want to do not bifurcation on these guys, but maybe interval and 2 and just have them coming off either side, or I can use phyllotaxy and do alternating and just see how that does. Kind of need a few more of these guys on there, but not too many. There we go. And they're actually so big that I've got like a little shadow coming, and that bump is helpful. Another thing that I might do on this guy is add a shell to the bottom to fade it from the ground. Now, if you're going to plop this in a scene, you probably would have a ground overlap anyways. If you need to sync that, you could do that too, but we'll leave it there for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit save, and we are going to grab this main one and add a shell decorator. And it's going up pretty high up the branch, but I don't need it. Totally fine with that. I'm going to duplicate my material. I've already done it actually. I've got this stem for faded in there. This is just a duplicate of my red material, which looks like that. And we are going to grab this guy and just have that faded material on there. And you can change the position of these guys, but I kind of like where it ended up. I'm just gonna fade it out a little bit and put the red on the bottom as an extension there. I think I might put the vine back. I got someone doing a request to keep these guys on YouTube. We do re-upload everything that you can find it later so that you can use these as tutorials. So don't be alarmed, it will come back. And we are going to assign our material on the shell branch. We're going to just put that red one on there. And I've got, it looks like a bug on the shell right now, and so that in theory did not work. We're going to hide it. But that's one way you can blend 2 colors. Okay. I have one more thing that I set because I have 3 minutes, just because I want to. One of the very the new things that we added in V9 when I did the texturing in here was really cool. I'm gonna make this a little bigger for you. I'm just gonna pull menus everywhere. I'm like drunk driving around in here. All right, I'm gonna look at one of these leaves. The spring leaf, I did not put 2-sided on. Instead, we added a back material now, and you can load in a separate material so that this guy has, when you do that, it's no longer using the subsurface from the original material, it's using the subsurface color from this one. So if this spring back, let's just show you one of these leaves from the back side. That's a really cool effect there, as I got the brown back, vine back 2 on these guys, and then I've got the regular leaves coming in this way. So this will help for stuff like magnolias. If you're doing a flower and you want one side to be fuzzy and one side to be like wet or shiny, or you can change up the PBR for guys. If you are creating that back, you could have the back vein be a little bit pronounced. Just a lot of things you can do in there. One of the things I really think is cool is when you have that material on the front. I'm gonna put this back where it belongs. if you took these guys and really curled them out, orientation, and you say that ways. I just think that neat little details is what we need. All right, we are gonna close. I'm gonna see if there's any more questions that we have missed, but I think we're pretty good. The next week we are gonna take the same vine and we're gonna grow it up the side of a tree that we just made in SpeedTree as well. Should be pretty fast. And we are doing this really cool Tree-tober. I'm sorry, guys. I did not realize the video volume was on for that, so I kind of blared you guys. Sorry about that. I hope you caught all that. You can catch up. We have a blog post on what Tree-tober is, but I think everybody's making fun of me now for blasting music on you guys, but that's okay. Sorry about that. But we hope you join in this little challenge, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you, guys.